Hello, welcome to MLB After Hours Podcast number 4. This is our first podcast since the trade deadline, so we got a lot to talk about. I'm your host, Connor, a Cubs fan. Today, our cast, we will have Tony, he's an Astros fan. We have Hero, as usual, a Cardinals fan. We got John, Marlins fan, and we got Kurganic, a Mariners fan. So today's podcast is going to be in honor of two Hall of Famers that passed away this week, Tom Seaver and Lou Brock. They unfortunately passed away. They were great players. Tom Seaver, Mr. Met, Tom Terrific, and Lou Brock, who played for the Cardinals and the Cubs for a brief time. And so today our podcast is dedicated to them. So let's get started here, though. So this is the first podcast since the trade deadline, and some notable trades that have happened since our last podcast include Mike Clevenger to the Padres, Starling Marte to the Marlins, Mike Minor was traded, the Mets acquired a few players, Todd Frazier, Miguel Castro, Robinson Chirinos, lots of moves, more than lots of people expected. I'd like to get some thoughts from each of you on who you think won the trade deadline, both buying and selling. I think the Mariners did a good job selling, personally. So let's go to Hero first. Who do you think won the trade deadline?
I'm gonna say on the short term, the Padres, they definitely won the trade deadline, in my opinion, because if you're looking at it with like a win this year point of view, whereas the Mariners, who were also a common trade partner of the Padres, they got a really good haul from the Padres with all the trades they made, like especially acquiring Taylor Trammell from the Padres and the trade for Austin Nola. So I think both of those teams, in different ways, they made improvements to their teams, and I guess they could both be winners in a different sense of the word.
Yeah, I agree. Kurganic, what do you think? Kurganic, are you there?
Pretty cool.
Yes.
I guess he.
Oh, I'm sorry, I desynced. Hello? I'm sorry, I just desynced. I'm sorry.
So what do you think about the trade deadline? Who won? How do you think the Mariners did?
Personally, I think I think the Mariners have won the trade deadline. You owe me $2 because you ate my Werther.
Fine.
Kyle, shut up. No, you ate my Werther.
Okay. John. John.
Yeah.
Let me hear you. Let me hear you taking the trade deadline.
Yeah, obviously. I think the trade deadline this year was actually a lot more interesting than we all expected it to be. As far as winners and losers go, no doubt the Padres are probably the biggest winner in the line, grabbing a bunch of pieces. Guys like Jason Castro, Austin Nola, Greg Allen, Moreland, Clevenger, Trevor Rosenthal. That's another one. A loser, definitely the Braves. Another pitching piece that hasn't really done anything much for them. I mean, they're still winning games, and that's exactly what they want. But I don't know. I don't really know if they really needed that piece, considering some pieces are also coming back. And yeah, I think trade deadline's been a good one here this year.
I'm pleased to tell you that we have just added another member to our cast. We have Alex here.
Hello,
Who is a
hello.
Dodgers fan. Perfect timing. Because Alex, I wanted to ask you about the Dodgers trade deadline. Not only did they not go out and acquire anyone, they traded away Ross Stripling. So, do you think that was the right move for them, or?
I think so. Cause we had like 5 or 6 people in the rotation, and like 2 of them being Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin. So yeah, I think it was the right move.
Did you want them to go get Lance Linda, or were you a bit disappointed about that?
No, I would say the Rangers would probably asking like maybe like Lux or May, like a high prospect return. When our team's like already the best team, we don't really need him. It'd be cool, but we don't really need him.
Right. I think I agree that the Dodgers.
I actually wanted to touch on another team that I may have missed. I think the biggest loser in the deadline, no doubt, the Rangers. They could have easily dealt
Mm.
Lynn and gotten bunch of good pieces.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure
Gallo,
some
I
team
mean,
would at least done
Right.
that.
that team would have grabbed a couple prospects or two and build that core for the future. I don't know what really the Rangers were trying to do there, but
Right.
You know what?
probably in the
I
offseason, who
think
knows?
I think Lance Lynn, they were asking for too much for him, so they're either gonna try to sell him off in the off season, or if they decide to keep him, he's probably gonna go down in value next year, not, and then they're
Right.
gonna they're gonna regret not trading him when they
I
had a chance.
right. I think the Rangers are making the same mistake as the Tigers did with Matt Boyd. He was in high
And the
demand. They didn't trade him.
and the mistake they made with Mike Minor last year too.
Right. Alex, I agree with what you were saying about the Dodgers. Like their team's already so good that they didn't really necessarily need to go get anyone. But I think two teams that probably did need to go get some guys, but didn't are the Cardinals and the Yankees. So I mean,
Yeah.
like the Yankees definitely need an outfielder, and
Hmm.
Charlie Marte was the name that was thrown around, but then the Marlins took him. And then Hero, I mean, what happened with the Cardinals deadline? Don't you think they should have picked
So
up maybe a bat or a reliever?
see, I think as someone who watches both the Cardinals and the Yankees, Starling Marte would have been the ideal option for either team. I don't know if the Cardinals ever even asked for Marte, if they even talked to the D-backs, but um, knowing John Mozeliak and his past action at previous deadlines, I wasn't expecting much out of him, but I was a bit surprised not to see any moves, like minor moves in the bullpen, or maybe someone like Ross Stripling could have been a good piece to get, which the Blue Jays ended up getting relatively cheap. As for the Yankees, I think they missed a big chance to build on some weaknesses at the deadline, and now they're in third place behind the Blue Jays in the division, which is a tough scene for Yankee fans.
And another team that didn't do much at the deadline that is in the race is the Astros. So Tony, what do you think? Did the Astros miss out on a chance to improve their team?
Honestly, I really want to see Archie Bradley go to the Astros. I really think, especially with Roberto Osuna going down with the season-ending injury, I honestly think Bradley would make a fit for us. He is a veteran bullpen guy with postseason experience that would definitely help out our young players like Blake Taylor, Enoy Paredes, Andre Scrub. But yeah, but that's really the only move I was like to see the Astros make. But also one thing I want to comment real quick. There's one team that I say had a really underrated trade deadline, and I'm gonna say that's the Oakland Athletics. They got two solid players in Tommy Lassell and Mike Minor, and they didn't really give up much for them. Franklin Barreto is was a former prospect for the Oakland Athletics that I guess that Athletics didn't see much of him, so they trade him away for Lassell.
Right. I think that's a good point, and I want to talk about the Yankees because not improving their team is already kind of shown to be affecting them. They've had just a ton of injuries, and they've been struggling recently. They split the series with the Orioles, or they lost. They split the doubleheader and then lost today. Um, so I mean they're in third right now. The Blue Jays passed them up. It I don't doubt that they'll make the playoffs still, but it's looking like they might end up with a tough matchup playing somebody like the Athletics, Rays, maybe the White Sox to
But they're playing against the
in
Twins.
right. I mean that's kind of the team that the Yankees wish they could play, but it's looking like they're going to have to play a tough team in the first round. they might get knocked out in the first round. They'll have to play at the team's home park. So let's go to John. What do you think about that AL East situation there with how the Yankees are struggling right now? Do you think this continues, or do you think they can find it?
Honestly, noting how close AL East has been as of late, Rays, cruising in first place. The shocker, definitely the Jays, and the Jays are a team that were really not, they weren't really talked about much at the start of the season, and look at them. They're in second place right now as we speak, and the Yankees in third with some very, very tough losses. And I don't know. I feel like looking at their schedule right now, I think they have a chance to bring it back, considering their opponents, they aren't quite good, because they got Toronto, which, yeah, they're doing really, really good right now. They got Boston, then Toronto again, and then they play Miami. I don't know. I really feel like the
Well,
Yankees could get back, but I feel like they might keep it consistent, kind of like a Marlins type thing, where they go 500, lose it, go 500. But I think they're gonna definitely stay
well,
above 500 at the end
now
of the
that
season.
now that you mention it, I think the upcoming Blue Jay series for the Yankees, which starts tomorrow, I think, is going to be decisive for how the playoff picture shapes out in the AL East. And
Definitely.
um, I I think I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, I
No,
don't I
I think
think
you have a point.
the Yankees, they had won like 20 games against the Orioles, 20 straight games against the Orioles dating back to last year, since like the opening series of last year, and they lost 3 games out of 4 in this past series, which the Orioles could have been their chance to get back in it and maybe catch up, like get
Right.
closer to the Rays, but they ended up dropping that series, and now they're in a tough spot now, heading to play Toronto for um, a divisional race that is very tight right now.
I feel
Yeah,
like the Toronto series from the 15th to the 17th this month will be the make or break for the Yankees this season.
right.
I find it very interesting how the Yankees and Blue Jays have not played once. So there's still like they start their series tomorrow, then there's another series a week later, and then there's another one like 4 days after that. So
They have 10 games this month.
yeah, they have 10 games. Um, the rest of the rest of the schedule for the Yankees is at Toronto, home against Baltimore, at Toronto. I mean, at home against Toronto, at Boston, at Toronto, home for Miami. So they play Toronto just as much as the entire rest of their schedule. They have 20 games left. 10 of them are in Toronto. I think it the team if a team dominates that series, uh, basically the Yankees cannot afford to get dominated, or else they honestly doubt that they make the playoffs if they only win like 3 of those games.
Okay.
Right.
Alex, I want to hear your thoughts on the Yankees because, as a Dodgers fan, I think you probably pay attention to them a lot, right?
Well, I do a lot of scoreboard watching, and I do want to point out that they lost against Baltimore 3 to 4 games. So it kind of seems to me without their star players, they become like more down to earth. They kind of look like an average ball club without their stars.
Yeah. I've been looking at the stats and trying to see what's going wrong for the Yankees. And okay, obviously the offense, that's part of the problem. I mean, today, their lineup. Look at this. Their first 4 hitters: LeMahieu, Voit, Gardner, and Frazier, and they combined went 0 for 14. So here, like the problem right now is that at the beginning of the year, they expected their lineup to be LeMahieu, Judge, Stanton, or sorry, it should have been Torres, Stanton, and then Sanchez, and they have LeMahieu, Voit, who's actually been doing okay, and he has 14 homers this year, and then Gardner's their 3-hitter, and Clint Frazier bag cleanup for them today. That's just not going to work long term. So for me, it's all about the injuries, and not just to their hitters. I mean, their pitchers. Tanaka started today, gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. That's not going to work, especially not against the Orioles. You can't do that against the Orioles. Clark Schmidt had a pretty bad game a few days ago. So for me, if the Yankees are healthy, they're probably maybe the second best team in the MLB. And I mean that. I think the Dodgers are better than them, but I think the Yankees, healthy Yankees, they're better than the Rays, and they're better than the White Sox and the Athletics. I think they're the second best team. But if they're hurt, and especially if they're hurt for the playoffs, they might not get past the first round, which means that the Dodgers will end up playing somebody easy in the World Series if they get past everyone else, of course. So, I mean, I don't think I say this enough, but I think the Dodgers have a pretty easy path to the World Series this year, and honestly, it'd be pretty disappointing if they didn't win it this year. This is their year. But let's take a break from the Dodgers for a little bit. Let's go talk about the AL Central because that's an interesting race. It's one of the closest in the league. Three teams separated by 1.5 games. The White Sox lead it right now, and in my opinion, they're probably going to end up pulling away in that one. But the Indians are hanging in there, and the Twins are always so powerful with their offense. So let's go. Let's go to Tony first here. I want to hear who you think's going to win that division. I feel like every week we ask this question, and it's still close. So what do you think?
I think that the White Sox are going to win it this year. I think they have the star power to do it. The Indians, I don't really know what to think of the Indians anymore because they just traded their ace Mike Clevenger. So I really don't know what to think of them right now. And the Twins I also don't really know what to think of, to be honest. But I know that for sure that those three will keep on. That those three at the end of the year will be separate, will not be separated by that much.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're all pretty close. Let's
I'm
let's
gonna
hear from
say
the hero. Yeah.
I really think the Indians are gonna win that division, and I don't think trading Mike Clevenger has as big of an impact as you would think because you have to remember Clevenger didn't play for like 2 weeks before getting traded or something like that, and the Indians were cruising still, up there in the division, fighting for that #1 spot, and I think they're gonna win that division. Obviously, it's gonna take more strong outings from Shane Bieber, who is now their ace, and their strength is easily the rotation and the pitching staff as a whole. So I think they could also see some more contributions from the offense. And if guys like Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor get hot in this final stretch, I think the Indians have it in the bag.
Yeah. Uh, I think the Indians, if they're pitching pitches as well as they did at the beginning of the year, probably do have the best chance. One thing I want to say is that I hear a lot of people say that the White Sox, oh my gosh, they're so good. They keep dominating, and then someone will say, well, they're playing the Royals and Tigers, but I think that's kind of a simple thing to say. Oh, they're playing the Royals and Tigers. Okay, they're supposed to beat up on the Royals and Tigers, and they're doing it. I don't know what more you could ask for. The White Sox swept the Tigers last time. They swept the Royals this weekend. Like that's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. That's what a good team would do. I don't think it's a good argument just to say they're playing bad teams. And not only that, they're also performing well against teams like the Cubs and the Twins. Um, so I do think that the White Sox are going to end up winning the division because their offense just produces at such a high level. But let's hear from Kurganic.
Um, well, now first of all, Tigers are actually 2 games under 500, and now because of Yankees floundering and the Astros as well floundering, they have a shot to actually make the playoffs as that second wildcard team. The thing that I've noticed the most is that the Twins are an interesting because they have the bat, but I'm not sure if they have like they're 5-5 in their last 10. They're kind of stagnant while the White Sox and Indians they're heating up. So at this point, it's stretch of the season really have to heat up right now, and I don't see that from the Twins. So I actually think the Twins, while maybe catching up a little, and they're still only 1.5 games back, but I don't really think they have a shot to win. I'll give the edge to the White Sox because they seem to be playing more like a team right now. But White Sox Indians may we very well may see them going into the final game with the exact same record.
That's a good point. And I want to move on to something now. The Padres and Athletics played a 3-game series this weekend, and I got to catch some of that. The Padres took 2 out of 3. It was a fun series. And I couldn't help but think to myself that this might be a World Series preview, but I might just be going crazy. Alex, am I going crazy there, or is that a World Series preview?
No.
No to what? To the going crazy or to the
No,
preview?
it's gonna be a repeat of 2017.
Really?
You think the Astros
No,
are gonna
not
make
the
it?
World Series,
Wait,
the
what?
NLCS.
The Astros
Not the
making the World.
No, I'm talking
Here's the
about.
thing: if the Astros make the World Series, people are going to put the asterisk on
Yeah, it'll be
the
double
series,
asterisk.
without a doubt. It'll be like
60-game season
quadruple
plus the
asterisk.
Astros. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
as
thinking.
as an Astros fan, as long as we make it, I honestly don't care.
Right. So back to the Padres. Right.
Hero?
So what?
You wanna-
I think it's a definite possible World Series matchup here. I would say it would probably be one of the most exciting matchups that we could see in the World Series. Especially the Athletics haven't won in a long time, and the Padres are still looking for the first ring in their franchise. And we've also seen the rise of young stars like Fernando Tatis Jr. and Oakland Athletics. They keep doing their thing. They've been kind of held back by the Astros these past few years, but this year they really have a chance to make an impact in the playoffs and have a long run. So I don't think it's crazy to say the Padres and the Athletics are a possible World Series preview. I just think the Dodgers have a clearer path to the World Series, and that's why it's going to be more likely the Dodgers against the Athletics, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that would be a rematch of 1988, I believe. John, what are your thoughts?
It's a good take that Hero made there. Actually, I was listening and all, and I think he made great points there. For the not for the Dodge, excuse me, for the Padres. He was mentioning earlier how they're going for the first ring. I'm personally a big advocate for first time teams getting their chance. I really do believe every single team in this league deserves a chance to parade down their own cities. So I don't know. Padres are looking really, really excited. I mean, if they don't really make it this year, I'm counting on them for next year. I'm in this train with them. I think they got good pieces this year, and from the deadline, they've managed to just improve their team, and I think that's just amazing how a team who came in with all this hype just plays the way people thought they would play, and they keep it up. Dodgers, look out! That's all I gotta say.
Wait, hold on. I want to make a kind of hot take here. The
Yeah, go for it.
Padres, they've been playing the West teams only because of the COVID issues, right? And they have a really good record. Obviously, the West has pretty good teams in both
Right.
leagues. So I'm thinking the Padres next year playing weaker teams from across the league instead of just the West.
Right.
I think they're gonna win the NL West next year, and they're gonna break the Dodgers streak of like 10 divisions in a
Um,
row.
Oh
I
man.
think okay. I think that's interesting. I think they'll win more games, or of course they'll win more games. I think they'll win a higher percentage of games. Maybe even 100. But you forget the Dodgers get to play weaker teams too. I don't know why you think they'd pass up the Dodgers just because the Padres play weaker teams when the Dodgers also play weaker teams. I
No,
think the
I mean
Dodgers
I
got the
agree,
division locked
but
up.
well, for next year, you mean?
I think the Dodgers will extend their streak to at least 10.
I mean, you gotta add that David Price will be pitching next year.
That's
Even
true.
Price isn't good though.
I
Well,
hate to be that
I
guy,
think
but I
having David Price is good, but
You
is
know,
he still to the same level that he was to say in the Rays 10 years ago?
well, he hasn't really been that pitcher since like 10 years ago. But I think if the David Price was pitching right now, I mean, you know, the Dodgers they get to save the money from his contract, I think, because he opted out. So that also gives them some leeway with their payroll. And I don't know. I feel like he would have done pretty bad this year, in my opinion.
yeah, but the Dodgers do have a pretty high payroll already, as do the Astros, by the way. And I do want to move on really quick. I want to talk about the
All right.
Astros because they played a 4-game series, including a doubleheader against the Angels this weekend. And not only did they lose all 4 games, they were ahead in all of them and ended up losing. They they lost um they lost on Friday on a Shohei Ohtani walk-off. On Saturday, they lost a 10-9 game. Um, and let's see, I can't remember who walked that one off. That would have been Joe
Rendon.
Adell. Yeah,
Oh
Joe
yeah, wait, no
Adell.
wait, yeah, what's it though?
And then the next game, Anthony Rendon hit a 3-run homer to take the lead in the top half, and then they closed down the Astros. That was also the day where Mike Trout hit his 300th career home run. By the way, don't want to leave that out. And then today they were leading, and the Angels won 9-5. So okay, it's probably a pitching problem. Um, the Astros have had young pitching all year. People like Anoli Paredes, Humberto Castellanos, Nivaldo Rodriguez, Blake Taylor, Brandon Belak, a lot of young guys that I really liked. But I think that the league is catching up to them now. Tony, what's going on?
I do agree with you that the league is finally catching up to them. I mean, this is a good sign for our offense because I mean, almost all of our star players are injured right now. Like Altuve, Bregman, who else? Jordan Alvarez. I know I'm missing more people, but yeah,
Is
it's definitely
Bregman still hurt?
he's coming back very soon, hopefully.
No.
But yeah, this is definitely a pitching problem. But yeah, the league is definitely catching up to them. That
And
You
like
know, as much as it is on the Astros pitching, I also want to say this weekend right here, we saw Mike Trout play the best he's played all year, which he's been great all year. Don't get me wrong, but he really stepped it up this weekend, and because of that, we also saw the Angels play the best baseball they've played all year. And I think
yeah,
they're
I agree
playing
with
like the team that we expected to see more, but I think it's a little bit too late for the Angels now. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I want to talk a little bit about Mike Trout, and stop me if I go too long because I could talk about Trout forever. But so his WAR has been a little lower this year because his fielding's been bad. But just this weekend, he shot up from like 50th in WAR to ninth in F4. He has 2 WAR now. He's ninth in the league, and honestly, he's probably MVP favorite right now. But with that being said, I went and looked at his home away splits again, and at home in 19 games, he has 10 homers, 22 RBIs. He's batting 377 with a 1361 OPS. On the road in 18 games, he has 5 homers, 16 RBIs. He's batting 214 with a 780 OPS. On the road, it doesn't have to do with the park dimensions or anything, but
trash
there's
cans.
something about his comfort. I think it's something with his comfort at home, especially this year. I don't know what it is, but it's not a small difference. It's a difference of almost 500 points in
Right.
OPS, and he's hitting way better at home. I don't know what's going on, but I will tell you this: their homestand ends, I think, this weekend. I don't think he'll have a good week. Okay, I don't think he's good on the road. Maybe at T-Mobile he's good.
Who are they
But
playing this week?
they'll be playing at Globe Life. He didn't do great there last time. He hit a home run, but when doesn't he hit a home run? So I watch for another Mike Trout's bad again. But then this weekend they play at Coors, which who doesn't hit well at Coors? So I don't know, but that's something to look out for. But I do want to go back to Tony really quick because Kyle Tucker is doing amazing right now. He has 6 triples. He leads the league, and his OPS is over 900. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned out to be an MVP candidate come the end of the year. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, Cal was struggling almost all year until we played against Colorado, where he made a slight adjustment to his swing. Then all of a sudden, he's been killing it. I mean, I swear, every series I've seen him playing, he hits at least 1 or 2 homers. And
What
it's a Kyle Tucker that the Astros fans were promised that they'll see. So I'm really excited, and I will not be surprised if he was an MVP candidate.
do you
I don't
know
know if
what
you
the
guys
adjustment
play.
was?
He closed in his stance. He closed in his stance by a little bit to be more controlled, and that definitely helped him out.
Nice. Hero, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say I don't know if you guys play out of the park baseball, but Kyle Tucker, every time and every save file, he's always the best player in the game, and he's really playing. He's putting up those video game numbers.
Are you
So
telling me
it just-
Astros even cheat on out of the park baseball?
no, he just develops into a monster. Just 5-tool player. It's like 60 bombs every year. Yeah.
Wait.
So.
Wait, what?
I have a theory. What
Trash
if?
cans.
What if? So you know how the Astros have gotten swept
Yeah.
by the Angels. What if?
Right.
And hear me out. The Angels took the Astros trash can.
They probably did.
Okay, we're moving on to the next topic.
Okay. I want to go to Kurganek though. I want to hear him talk about the Mariners. They just swept the Rangers, and what are they? 3 games back with the Yankees now? Do they got a chance? What do you think?
I want to say we have a chance. There's this Mina Kimes tweet that that made so much sense. I felt the exact same way. Lord forgive me for I, a Mariners fan, have just checked the wild card standing. We're not supposed to do that. It doesn't feel right. But we're playing like a wild card team. We're playing like a solid team. We're playing well. That the Austin Nola trade, although unfortunate that we lost our catcher, Torrens seems to be shaping up. I feel comfortable with our team. We have a lot of options on the infield with now we have France, we have Dylan Moore who can play really anything. We have Evan White, we have Crawford. We just have a lot of options right now, and then we have a lot of outfield prospects. I don't know if we can pull it off this year. I think we can pull it off next, or at the very latest 2022. And I think I'm getting my hopes up, but I think we have a shot to really make a deep run if we make it this year, because nothing about us makes sense. We've kind of been streaky the whole year. I really don't know, because if the Yankees keep playing like this, then yeah, we have a shot. But we still got a little bit of ground to make up.
To be honest with you, I think you're getting your hopes up a little bit because
I'm getting my hopes up because we haven't made the playoffs in 19 years. But
what I think happens is that Jerry Dipoto gets into this cycle of selling every year because he thinks it's so fun. He loves trading. He loves getting all these prospects, and then he just trades them away right again once they get up to the big leagues. So I think Dipoto needs to say, all right, we're going for it next year or something like that. I don't know what he's doing.
You know what? The Mariners have a.
It's called dip shitting on.
The Mariners have a core of young players coming up soon, like Julio Rodriguez, and they have
Jared
Jared
Kelenic.
Kelenic. Yeah, they have a lot of young hitters
we
that could be
have
up really soon. Maybe 2 years
we
they
have a
could be up
lot of.
here.
I think because like most of our prospects are going to be up in 2022. I feel like I think that 22-23 is our year personally.
You know, they're developing kind of their own murderers row with Kyle Lewis and Evan White already in the big leagues, and then some more backup coming up. But the question
And
for the
that
Mariners, which seems to be every year, is their pitching once again. Like, I don't know how they're doing on that front. I know they have like one or two prospects that stand
well
out.
we traded away Altavilla and Williams, and while Hirano's had a few shaky saves, the last I I would really say that like our relief pitching is finally looking good. I don't know
Yeah,
about our
they
starting
they did
pitching
good against the
yet,
Rangers.
because like while we have Gonzalez, Dunn, and Sheffield,
Hmm.
like we're starting to look like our starting pitching could be good, but something always seems to happen. So I don't know
Yeah,
what can I don't know what could be the season.
I think Dipoto
I think
happens.
I think Dipoto has to happen at some point.
Do you
'Cause,
think
like,
A little
maybe
something, like it's Mariners related, but not Mariners baseball related. A member of the Mariners, D. Gordon, recently changed his last name to D.
to D Strange,
Strange Gordon. Strange stands for his mother's last name, who unfortunately was shot and killed when D was only 7 years
6.
old. I think that is honestly one of the most wholesome things I've ever seen in baseball. I tip my cap off to D, honestly.
John, thank you for bringing in that wholesomeness into this podcast. Thank you so much.
I had to. I
Um,
mean, that's something that, the world
I
needs
would
to see, because people who just give back to their families, I think that's just number one. It's
I
bigger than
agree.
baseball, as they say.
it's
All right,
kind of funny.
right?
I was about to transition into that.
all right. I think we should end on that note on
I think we should.
the AL West and kind of move towards the NL. So let's talk about the NL East for a little, because they're an interesting division. The Braves played the Nationals this weekend, and the Phillies played the Mets. Marlins played the Rays, and the division kind of tightened up a little bit. I mean, the Braves are still ahead by a lot, but the Mets took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. So uh, at least one of these teams, other than the Braves, has to make the playoffs. But maybe another one. John, what's going on in the NL East?
Braves, man, they keep swinging the bat. Every single highlight I see from the Braves, every single time I check on the Braves, they keep pouring on Ozuna, Acuna. That's another one, actually. As a matter of fact, Acuna hit.
Freeman.
No, yeah, Freeman. That was another one. He hit like 2 grand slams. These people are literally on fire as of late, and they will continue that streak until the season ends. And I think they might drag that into the postseason. Honestly, at this point, second place we got the Phillies, a team who came out of nowhere really, and look at them, second place. They are 2 games above 500, and seem to be steady there. I think they might stay in that position. Number three, you got the Marlins, who unfortunately lost 2 tough ones against the Rays, kind of fighting for that wild card spot. We'll see how that unfolds. The Mets beating 2 crucial games against the Phillies, beating themselves up and making the race closer to the Marlins. That's going to be fun to watch. And the Nationals doing national things. Last place, 14-25. Wow.
Um, I want to talk about the Nationals a little bit because they have 2 players, Trey Turner and Juan Soto, who are just dominating at the plate right now, and they could be MVP candidates at the end of the year. But a lot of people say that the MVP has to lead their team to the playoffs. I hear people argue all the time that Mike Trout, he doesn't deserve his MVPs because he only made the playoffs in 2014. So, Hero, I know you're a big fan of Juan Soto. Do you buy into the whole the MVP has to lead his team to the playoffs thing?
I don't think the playoffs should factor into the MVP votes. Unfortunately, they do, but it's not like basketball, where one player can really carry his team into the playoffs. In baseball, no one player can do that. So I don't think it's fair to give the MVP to a player, even though his stats aren't better than someone else, just because his team made the playoffs and the other guy didn't. Now, I do think Fernando Tatis Jr. has it locked up for this year as for the MVP because he's been putting crazy numbers. I don't want to take that away from him, but his team is going to make the playoffs, whereas someone like Juan Soto and Trey Turner, who both have better offensive numbers, are in last place in their division, right? Also, Tatis has been getting all the national spotlight and the love from the media. So my MVP is Juan Soto, but I know Tatis is going to end up winning it this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, especially as someone who appreciates Mike Yastrzemski. And I mean, you never know. Giants could make the playoffs, but it's looking like probably not, and it's looking like Yastrzemski doesn't have a chance at his an MVP. Kurganic, as a fan of a team who hasn't made the playoffs since 2001,
Yep.
what do you think about MVPs having to make the playoffs?
I think it's absolute BS because and the sole reason that I say that is because I've watched Ichiro play, and Ichiro, while being a dominant player in most facets of the game, actually all facets of the game, didn't ever make the playoffs with the Mariners. So, like, when you have once in a generation type players like Ichiro and don't make the playoffs, that I don't see how that's his fault. Personally, I think Mike Wazowski.
Yes, a shout out to Mike Wazowski. Yeah.
Mike Wazowski.
Personally, I think Mike
Right.
Yastrzemski should win the NL MVP, but it's good.
Was that
It's gonna go
unintentional
to-
or was
No, that was not intentional.
Um,
Personally, I think it should go to Yastrzemski or maybe Soto, but everyone knows that Tatis is going to win it, and that's just how the MLB operates. So
mhm.
you can't
Can-
really
Go
do
ahead.
anything about that, unfortunately.
Can I make a comment on that real quick?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you said that Tatis will easily win the MVP. I don't I don't think Tatis has it easily though. Mookie Betts is still really good right now. But it'll
Yeah.
definitely be between Tatis, Betts, and for a third player, I'm gonna give it to Juan Soto.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
I,
I was gonna ask Alex about that really quick because Mookie Betts, he watches him a lot, I'm sure, and I think personally, I think that he's the most talented player in the NL by far, and he's showing it this year.
Yes.
So I think he deserves the MVP, but I do think Tatis is the favorite right now.
It's
Alex,
close. It's pretty close.
you think
I guess we'll
Mookie
see
deserves
by
it?
the end of the year.
You know what? You know how LA is like the big market in baseball. It's a bit surprising. It feels like Tatis stole the spotlight in the league this year. Mookie and the Dodgers was the
Right,
big news,
right.
and then Tatis broke out, and then the media's all over him.
I think that just speaks to how exciting the Padres are as a team. Like they've even captured the national media's attention, even when the Dodgers are so good. That just shows how exciting the Padres are.
I'd like to touch on the MVP thing with the whole, oh, you didn't make the playoffs. I think that's bogus. I mean, you look at yeah, of course, me as a fan of the Marlins, I 2017, Giancarlo Stanton won that MVP. I know Votto was also in the talks for that MVP, but did the Reds make the playoffs? They didn't, but they were both good calibers. And when you think back on it, it's not really about if you drag your team to the playoffs, it's how you win ball games. Stan did just
No,
that
he
for
don't.
us.
You know what? Now that you bring up 2017, I gotta stand up for my boy Paul Goldschmidt. You know, because every year, you know, he's been finishing like in those days. He's with the D-backs. He was finishing like second in MVP voting because his team didn't make the playoffs. And then 2017, he makes the playoffs, and then Stanton comes on with like 59 homers and just takes it from him. I gotta show support to my first baseman. You know.
Okay, and continuing on 2017, Jose Altuve over here winning MVP just because the Astros win 100 something games, you think? I mean, Mike Trout and Aaron Judge were just as good that year, I think, maybe even better.
No comment.
No comment.
No,
Okay.
well,
see,
you know it's like,
I
it's
think
true.
they
Aaron Judge.
clearly were better. I think it's clear that they definitely were better.
I think Trout's
Because
injury hurt him that year, but yeah.
No, the only
yeah,
stat you can use for Altuve against Judge is batting average, and that's a boomer stat, so we don't really care about that. I think the
every
only
player was better than Altuve
You know,
that year.
No,
That wasn't on the
Altuve
No.
Astros.
17 was actually really good. Just, I mean,
Okay,
I don't know
but
about the best,
he
but
was
it's really,
good.
he was good. It was
Well,
really good.
I actually wanted Altuve to win because I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm not a big fan of rookies winning MVP. Just because Rookie of the Year and MVP, like, come on, save the hardware for someone else, right?
And
I
then
was gonna
Judge
bring that up, but
unanimously.
if you earned it, if you deserve it, you deserve it. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie, in my opinion. So
Right.
I don't
It's
agree with
just,
you on that. So
yeah, it's the right thing to do if somebody's a rookie and who's last rookie to win
Uh,
MVP? I can't remember.
Ichiro?
Ichiro is the only
Did
one.
Ichiro do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
I think
Ichiro.
Ichiro did it. Yeah,
Ichiro,
Ichiro
but
did it.
people don't
Did
really count him as a
Pujols?
rookie because you know he had like 7 years of
They
pro
got
ball.
No,
But
I don't think Pujols did because I think he
Pujols
had a
no,
did
bad.
Pujols.
because
Wait,
Bonds
No,
won it
no,
that
no.
year, right? Bonds won it with
In
Pujols.
Bonds won it in 01, so I don't think it was Pujols.
wait,
Right.
I
because
I
think
think you're right
Pujols deserved it in 2001. The only reason he didn't win it is
because
because he
Bonds
was
hit
a rookie, and
Bonds
then
hits 50
Ichiro
something
won
homers,
his
right?
Well, Bonds was just
Ichiro
eating
won
a
his as a
more healthy
rookie.
breakfast. It's not that bad. He was just eating healthier. Definitely wasn't doing anything that was
I think it
lethal.
also helped Ichiro that he had some experience in Japan before coming over. He was 27 his rookie year. I mean, a lot of guys win MVP when they're 27 years old. That's most guys' prime, basically. So that obviously played into it.
that's true.
Pujols was what, like 20? 19 maybe?
He was like 19, I think.
No, he was 21.
And
He was
also,
20 when he first came up, and then he turned 21
and
that
also,
year.
also another player that almost did that before Aaron Judge was actually the year before Corey Seager of the Dodgers. He won Rookie of the Year and almost won MVP over, I believe
You're
it was
right.
Bryant that year.
Bryant did win it that
Chris
year.
Bryant. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course Connor knows.
Right. Of course I do.
Everyone knows.
I think that was a productive conversation right there, but I want to get into the NL Central because Cardinals playing right now. Cardinals about to win their third straight and take the series win.
Don't say
They're
that yet.
gonna close the gap to 1.5 games in the division. They've played way fewer games than the Cubs. Still, they'll have even if they win this game, they'll have 6 fewer wins. So I wouldn't get too excited yet, but Cardinals are looking better, Hero. What do you think?
I'm gonna say the Cardinals, they kind of put it together. Although they have been very up and down this season, you know, we dropped like 4 in a row, then we won 3, and then we lost 2, and now we're on our pace to win a third in a row. But we've seen some guys really step it up. Obviously, Paul Goldschmidt and Brad Miller have been pretty much carrying the offense the whole year. Dexter Fowler, who has been our third best hitter, he's out now with injury. But we've seen contributions from Paul DeYoung, who's now hitting like 346 in his last 7 games. He hit a home run yesterday. The pitching, obviously, we know the Cardinals pitching is among the best in the National League, so they've been doing their thing. Also, Adam Wainwright, you know, people are nobody expected him to come out like he did this year. He's pitching like an ace, you know. So I think the Cardinals are looking good. We have a lot of doubleheaders, so a lot of ground to make up between the Cubs here in the division. But I think if we keep up the current winning streak, you know, for those doubleheaders coming up, we could be right behind the Cubs here.
Hero, I don't know about pitching like an ace for Wainwright. I think Flaherty was pitching like an ace, but the Cubs kind of got to him there.
Well, Flaherty's still having a really good season. He has been getting limited innings because the whole layoff, and then this last outing against the Cubs, he was executing his pitches, but he just wasn't getting results. I'm not too worried about Flaherty, but I honestly Wainwright has been kind of our best starting pitcher, not necessarily just on stats, but he has stepped up when we really needed him. Like the first game coming back from the layoff, he pitched like 6 innings out of a 7 inning game, and he allowed us to have a bullpen game for the game 2 of the doubleheader. That's huge coming from a veteran like him. He always seems to step up in the right moments, like we saw in the playoffs last year. He was almost unhittable.
So
Did the Cubs just strand runners again?
they stranded a runner on second. But Hero, do you worry about the Brewers at all? Because they've been okay recently, and they're only a couple games behind the Cardinals, and you have 10 games left against them, including 3 doubleheaders. Do you worry that if you drop a few of those, or maybe most of those, then the Brewers might pass up the Cardinals?
I was worried about the Brewers, especially coming into this Cubs series. We lost game 1, and at that point, I was thinking this series is not going to go well, and the Brewers are probably going to pass us. But I was hopeful for a wild card. I think winning this series would be a big boost over the Brewers this upcoming series because the momentum shift. Some people don't believe in momentum, but I think it's important to be on a winning streak like this heading into a decisive series. The Brewers, they're a team with a lot of holes on their roster. I think. Um, I'm not I'm not gonna say I'm not worried because obviously we have a lot of games against them and they could easily just turn it over on us. I wouldn't say we're screwed because we're playing the Brewers so much. I just think the Cardinals have to do their thing for these upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And the well, let's not talk too much about the Reds, but they're pretty bad right now, and I think David Bell should be fired. Honestly, anybody give me input on that? You guys think the Reds just should fire David Bell? What do you think?
I think they should have fired him last year.
I honestly don't really
I
like David Bell as a manager. He makes very questionable moves, and I feel like think he needs to get a better manager on the market right now.
Yeah,
honestly, I just don't like his style personally. He just doesn't make sense. He's not good at bullpen managing at all, and it. He's just not a good manager. I also think they should have fired him last year.
um, let's move on to talk about the NL West a little bit. So here's something I noticed is Alex is Mookie Betts not playing today just because an off day.
Yep, off day.
Okay, so that's interesting because I noticed that Joe Madden did that with Mike Trout today because the Angels aren't playing tomorrow. So Joe Madden managed the Cubs, so I
Yeah.
know a lot about Joe Madden. And
I think
he does
Dodgers
this
have an off
thing.
day tomorrow too.
Right, the Dodgers have an off day tomorrow too. Joe Madden does this thing where if someone's performing well, he likes to give them off days. Like you might think if someone's slumping, sit him,
Mhm.
right? Joe Madden says, nah, you should do it the other way. Like Trout's doing great at the plate. He says, okay, we give an off day Sunday. The Angels have an off day Monday. He gets 2 days off. He'll be back Tuesday, and he'll still be performing well. And it almost looks like Dave Roberts is doing that same thing. So, as just from a philosophical standpoint, do you think that's a good idea, or are you more like, nah, just play them every game if they're doing well, don't sit them?
I guess from what I know from Dave Roberts, he likes to have every guy that's like on the roster have equal time on the field. So he likes to do that. He likes using that versatility. Getting some bench players some time on the field.
John, would if you were manager, would you sit somebody who's performing really well?
Obviously not. I mean, if they're producing W's for the team, I would gladly play the guy. I mean, I understand that sometimes you got to platoon players because some players get more playing time than others. I get that, but if you're trying to go for a postseason spot, you got to play the ones that give you wins. That's just how it works. I can't address it anymore. I really do think that's what you got to do.
All right, Tony, what do you think?
Um, I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Like okay, let's take Kyle Tucker, right? He's
Yeah.
doing so well right now. So I think something a manager worries about is like if somebody's doing really well, they want to hold back from playing them every day because they might start slumping and then there's no getting them out of the slump, right? So do you buy into that philosophy, or do you think like Kyle Tucker needs to play every day, no matter what, because he's doing so good, and even if he goes over 4, just play him the next day because he's our best player? Like I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the Astros just had like 5 days off last week, I believe, and Kyle Tucker's still performing. So that's why I'm kind of questioning it a little bit because Kyle Tucker's literally just went through that and hit 2 homers and hit a homer today and yesterday. So I don't really know if we're using the Kyle
Well,
Tucker sample.
well, okay. Let's talk a little bit about the rest of the NL West here. So the Dodgers are in good shape to win the division, and the Padres are in good shape to come in second. The Giants and the Rockies have a good chance to make a wild card if they can perform well the rest of the way. They're both 1 game under. They're both, I don't know, maybe not the best teams, but they're performing well. Who has the better chance to make the playoffs out of the Giants and Rockies? And do you think either of them will? Let's go to Kurganic.
Personally, I think if either team is going to make the playoffs, I think it's going to be. I don't think either will personally, but I think if any team will, it's going to be the Giants because of the fact that they're looking like a more complete team. Rockies started off playing really well, and now they've cooled down. They're not playing very well anymore. I just don't think they. I think they kind of like plateaued early, and I just don't see them making any deep run now. So I wouldn't say that Giants are good. I would more say that the Rockies have now cooled down and they're not good.
Right. Alex, as somebody who's probably watched both those teams a good amount, which one's better?
It's hard to tell, but I would like for them to both make it, so we can have 4 NL West teams.
We didn't ask what you like, man. We're asking for
But
your
I
thoughts.
don't know who's better. All I just know, I just want them to make it.
You really want more NL West teams? I mean, as a Cubs fan, I don't really want to see the Reds, Brewers, Cardinals make it because I don't personally like the teams. That's interesting that you want the NL West teams.
Well,
Giants could slip in. They could sneak in there.
Because
we don't play them at all this year, so we're done. We're done facing them.
Well, we're on the topic of the Giants and the Rockies. I mean, I guess if I had to pick either one of them to get that wild card spot, to me it's easily the Giants because the Rockies have been kind of rocky. They've been very inconsistent. I think this year, and we've seen guys like Charlie Blackmon just fall off, and then the other day he's doing good. But you need consistency to make the playoffs. And I think we saw the Giants the other day. We didn't mention this yet, but they beat the Rockies 23-5 with 27 hits, right? So if you're asking me who the better team is, it's definitely the Giants, and that's why if one of them is gonna make the playoffs, I got the Giants.
That's a good point about the Giants Rockies series where the Giants hit so well. Alex Dickerson, shout out to Alex Dickerson. He was the third player to have 3 home runs and 2 doubles in a game. Chris Bryant and Matt Carpenter were the other 2. John, I want to ask you.
I remember that.
Yeah, what's up?
So 2 questions.
Yeah. So
One, Rockies or Giants, and two. I want to ask you: do you root for other teams in the NL East to make the playoffs just because you like the NL East? Like, for example, would you want the Marlins, Phillies, and Mets to all make it if they could?
Hmm. Well, to answer the first one, actually, let's start with that one. uh, I really, really want. I mean, I wouldn't really mind either team making it, but I want a shocker here. I really want the Giants to come out of nowhere and literally steal the Rockies off the spot. I apologize, Rockies fans, but the Rockies started the season really, really, really good, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Rockies playoffs, Rockies playoffs." People are just weren't paying attention to the Giants, and now they're making a splash. I think
I get it.
Splash.
I really do believe the Giants are going to rob the Rockies off that spot there. And for the second one, yikes. Obviously, I would love to see the Marlins make it again. It's been my dream to see playoff baseball again here in South Florida. Uh,
Amen.
Thinking about it, you got the Marlins, you got the Phillies, and you got the Mets. You know, I would just like to see the Braves and the Phillies and the Marlins make it. Honestly, seeing four NL East teams on there just doesn't fit. Like I don't know. I really wouldn't like to see four teams on there. I don't really root much for NL East teams. If anything, I was a strong advocate for the Nationals in their 2019 run. I think it really reminded me of 2003, how Jack McKeon came and pushed the Marlins to a World Series title. It was the same scenario. And yeah, I really do root for a lot of underdog type teams. But yeah, I really wouldn't like to see many NL East teams from the same division in the playoffs.
Wouldn't like to see the Mets, right? I know you don't really like
I
the
really do
Mets.
not.
So let's kind of talk about some more general things here. Um, not to dwell on it, but Zach Allen's still really good. He has 23 straight career starts now of giving up 3 or fewer earned runs. I just wanted to say that. But speaking of Gallen, the NL Cy Young race is looking really entertaining right now. Darvish just threw 7 innings of 1-run baseball against the Cardinals. Max Fried, who started off fantastic, has dropped down a little bit, but he's still kind of carrying the Braves rotation. And then DeGrom is good as always, and Trevor Bauer's still in it. Who do you think will end up winning the Cy Young, and who would you like to see win it? Who are you rooting for? And let me just get it out of the way that I'm rooting for Darvish. Let's go to Hero first.
Really?
Ooh, yeah.
He's a Cubs fan.
Okay. I will say I really don't want to give it to Darvish. He's a Cub and everything, but I think he's gonna win it, unfortunately. But I really would want Jacob DeGrom to win it or Zach Gallen. If you go by Baseball Reference, Zach Gallen has more WAR than the other three you mentioned, Max Fried and DeGrom and Darvish, and he has a ERA below 2, like they all do. But I just think Zach Gallen, I really want him to win it, but I don't think he will because maybe if the Diamondbacks were in the playoff runs, he would get looks. I think Darvish is gonna win it this time, unfortunately.
John, who are you rooting for?
Okay, I'm rooting for my old boy Zach Gallen. I miss him. I really do. I really want him to uh, win a Cy Young award. This is his second season, and the product he's producing on the field has just been insane. However, I really do think that the Cy Young award is going to go to Jacob DeGrom, and I think it's pretty much mainly because I've seen Jacob DeGrom pitch the most as a fan, and man, he could pitch. He has nasty stuff on his arsenal, and he's got a strong fight there with Gallen and Darvish, but I do think DeGrom is going to take it by the end of the season.
I think DeGrom, he's only been pitching against the crappy Marlins, so I don't think he's gonna win.
Oh,
So
whoa. DeGrom lost his last game
Excuse
against
you?
the Marlins, so you better be careful. Let's go to Alex.
I guess it kind of looks like Darvish is leading the race, so I guess I would pick him if he's continuing what he's doing. He has those long good outings, few hits, maybe no runs. Wasn't his last outing got like 11 Ks?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
Every player in the Cardinals lineup struck out.
Yeah, but I'm too
Yeah.
busy enjoying these W's lately.
So yeah, I think Darvish he has a good chance if he continues to it. But in a miracle, I would love for Kershaw to win it.
Organic.
I personally think that I really like watching Zach Gallen. He's a fun pitcher to watch, even though he's only 1-0 on the season. We can ignore wins and losses because first of all, it's not a good stat, and second of all, he's not pitching for a good team. And unfortunately, I think that Darvish will win it, even though Gallen probably should, because the Diamondbacks just aren't good and they're not going to be in a playoff race. So, unfortunately, I think Darvish will have not happy about that, but Darvish will almost certainly win that, and I think
It sounds like we're all rooting for Zach Gallen here. Tony, you too?
I would like to see Zach Gallen do well, but by the way, there's one player that I want his name heard because he's been pitching amazing all
Zach
year.
Greinke.
Who?
Zach Greinke.
Cranky, yes.
For A. But
And
for NL.
yeah, I know. But what's funny is his first name is Zach. His name is actually Zach Davies from the San Diego Padres. He's been he's been cruising lately, even though I don't think he'll win the Cy Young, but I just want his name out there. But I think the player that will win it is Jacob deGrom, just because he's put up really good numbers this year, and also he won the past two, so I think that's why.
Yeah, I do think DeGrom has a good chance. I didn't want to talk too much about AL Cy Young because right now everyone's going to say Shane Bieber is going to win it,
Granky.
and it's kind of the same thing with AL MVP is that it could be Bieber, but they usually don't vote for pitchers, so it's kind of just Trout or Rendon right now. Even though they're on the Angels, at least in my opinion, because I don't think Abreu or Cruz. Cruz doesn't even play defensively, and Abreu isn't that good defensively, so I don't think they should have a chance to win it.
What about Kyle Tucker? You're just saying that he was an MVP nominee.
Well, Kyle Tucker, I'm kind of extrapolating, like saying, okay, if he plays this way the rest of the season, he could be. But as of now, I think it goes to Trout. So I do want to go talk about the NL MVP race. We've talked enough about who might or should win it, but I want to hear who you guys are rooting for. Like I'm rooting for Yastrzemski, or Mike Yazowski, as some people call him. I know Alex, you're rooting for Mookie Betts, right?
Mm-hmm.
John and Hero, you can't say Paul Goldschmidt. Who are you rooting for?
What is this MVP? I know.
MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, go first.
I'm on the
alright, go
Tatis hype train.
Hero.
I do want to mention Corey Seager just homered.
Yeah, Corey
Brad
Seager's up
Miller.
there too. Hey, no, you can't
Brad
say Brad
Miller.
Miller either. No, you can't say it.
Why? Well, I guess
They haven't
second to
played
Brad
enough games.
Miller.
You can't say them.
So behind Brad Miller and Paul Goldschmidt, I guess I gotta say. Am I predicting who's gonna win or who I'm rooting for?
No, who you're rooting for, but not a Cardinal.
Well, I gotta root for my boy Juan Soto. Then he's flying under the radar right now because the Nationals are absolute garbage. So yeah, but I still root for him.
Good
From the
pick.
Dominican Republic, I gotta root for Juan Soto.
Organic.
I'm rooting for Mike Yastrzemski because first of all because
Mike Yazowski.
Mike Yazowski. I would like watching him. He's really fun to watch, and honestly, I I don't want to hop on the Tatis hype train. I personally don't think that Juan Soto is. I don't think that he like. I just think the Nationals are just so incredibly bad. You can't, because in my honest opinion, you
Dude, I
can't
thought you said
be.
the team record doesn't matter.
Team record matters a little because you can't be terrible.
Then how
What?
come
Like
Stanton won in 2017?
The
I
2017 Marlins weren't that bad.
Yeah, but they were
I just
still not a
don't
playoff
I just
team.
don't think
They were under
Juan
500
Soto
too, by like
if
10
Juan
games, I think.
Soto if Juan Soto wins the MVP, I just don't think he deserves to win the MVP personally. I think that uh Yastrzemski has the edge over him, so
The only
I'm personally
reason
going to root for Yastrzemski.
The only reason I will say Juan Soto doesn't deserve the MVP is because he missed some time with COVID.
Right.
So
But
he
if
would
he
be.
ends up qualifying, then he's probably
Yeah,
fine.
I think he will qualify. I don't know if he's hurt. Actually, I don't know if he's hurt right now, but he would be leading the league in OPS, and I
Right.
think OPS plus right now if he was qualified.
Yeah.
So
And by the way, I'm not sure about this, but I think Trout's led the MLB in OPS plus 4 straight years now. I'm not
pretty
100% sure,
crazy.
but
We're talking about
Soto's
it
giving
now.
him a run. All right. Tony, are you rooting for
Uh,
someone in the NL?
yeah, I'm on the Tatis bandwagon.
Boo.
Ooh. Wait,
Cringe.
Connor, I have to correct you. Trout has led the AL in OPS plus for 5 years.
But the MLB for 4 years, right?
Oh, the
Or
MLB.
I'm not
Uh,
sure.
it might be the MLB also. I don't know.
Are
All
you,
right,
if
back to
it's
Tony.
baseball reference?
Yeah, I'm a baseball reference.
Yeah, see, look, so if it's italics, then it's the
No,
MLB.
I
So
know
that's
how.
19, 18, 17, 16. He led the MLB in OPS
Yeah.
plus, and
Right,
15 is just
okay.
the AL.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Tony, did you have anything else to say?
Um, Tatis is gonna win MVP.
Okay.
Well, who do you want to win MVP?
He
Though?
wants Tatis.
Tatis.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not. I don't like dislike Tatis. I actually like him. Just
I don't like
you
I
that
know.
just hate
everyone
bandwagon.
likes him. I'm the
Well,
anti-bandwagon.
I mean, I do hate the Rangers, so that's why I love Tatis. So
I mean, I've been saying Tatis is better than Pete Alonso since last year. So don't say I'm a bandwagon Tatis fan.
I
I,
also agree.
I mean,
I was
thing is, I think the only reason why Tatis didn't win Rookie of the Year last year was because
because he missed
He got
time.
he had
hurt.
missed time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
literally the only reason.
Right. He was definitely a better player than Alonso. Just because Alonso hits 53 homers doesn't mean he. I mean, Alonso has shown that he's worse than Tatis this year. He's been slumping. All right.
Well, you know what? I will say Alonso's been heating up ever since the Mets got Todd Frazier back.
Yeah,
Apparently, he's
that's
been
true.
using his bat.
That's true. Good point. I want to do a little fun wrap-up question. I want to know what your guys' favorite memory is from a game that you attended. Let me just start out because I've only attended 2 games because I'm poor. Uh, I went to a game in 2016 in which Jake Arrieta threw 7 shutout innings against the Cardinals, and the Cubs won 5-0. Um, that was fun, but I actually wanted to say the game I went to in 2018. It was Jackie Robinson Day, but it was a makeup game. It was a makeup Jackie Robinson game, and it was against the Braves, and it was 6-5 in the bottom of the ninth. Cubs had the bases loaded, and Bryant hit a line drive to the left, and Acuna caught it, and we lost. But I gotta say, it was entertaining, and it was so fun watching Albies and Acuna. So I'd say that one. Let's go to Tony. I know you've been to some good games. What's your favorite memory?
I've been to several. I've been to a lot of games over the years, but definitely my favorite one was going to 2017 World Series Game 5. And I'm gonna say that entire game was my favorite memory. It was just a wild ride of emotion that ended with the Astros on top. And that Bregman walk-off single when I mean, really, I can talk about the game for hours. Like, it's amazing. And
So you're
honestly,
telling me that the fact that they cheated doesn't taint your experience
Wait,
at all?
Tony, I was gonna ask, like, I wanted to ask from an Astro fan's perspective.
what's up?
We saw those games, and everybody's like, that's one of the greatest games of all time. Is it like disappointing looking back now, and like my team cheated? Like, is it not fun to like maybe go back and watch those highlights now?
I will say it is a little tainted when I look back at them, which kind of sucks. But still, in the moment, it was really fun.
All right, okay.
Hero, you're next.
I've only been to 3 MLB games. I went to 2 last year. I guess my favorite moment. I've only been to 1 Cardinals game, so that has to be my favorite. It was a game at Citi Field against the Mets. The score was like 6-7. I got a baseball from Dexter Fowler, one of my favorite Cardinals. So that's a memory, like my favorite memory from a baseball game. Um, I got uh I got to see Jack Flaherty get thrown out at home to end the game as a tying run, which was a roller coaster of emotions. So even though it ended poorly, I think it was a very good game to watch. But also, on one of the other games I went to in 2016 in September, I got to go to David Ortiz's last series at Yankee Stadium, so that was pretty special too.
Very cool. John, I know you've been to a ton of Marlins games. What's your favorite?
Yes, sir. I've been going to Marlins games since 2007. I've experienced the best out of the best for the Marlins in their respected stadiums too. Since I've seen 3 no hitters, a perfect game. I saw Roy Halladay toss a perfect game against us in 2010. Rest in peace, Doc. I saw no hitters from Anibal Sanchez. I saw no hitters from Edison Alvarez and what's his face?
Edinson
Uh,
Volquez?
Edison Volquez. Yes, I saw uh them pitch no hitters. Coolest no hitter, no doubt. Henderson Alvarez's walk off no hitter. That was literally the most craziest thing ever. The stadium was packed that day. I've seen a ton of walk off grand slams. Hanley Ramirez, Stanton. I've seen what's this other one? I've seen Jose Fernandez hit a home run against the Braves that one game. McCann got really pissed. Uh, I went to the game where Jose caught the ball and then Tulo was like, "You catch that?" And then he's like, "Yeah, yeah." That
I
was
need to flex so hard, man.
those are one of the many amazing games I went attended in that stadium.
So it sounds like John's seen every single big Marlins moment from the last
John, are you
But
12
Marlins fan?
years.
quick
Or
question then. Wait, quick question though. Have you ever been to a playoff walk off?
uh,
the Marlins don't go
no.
to the playoffs? Come on.
Walk off.
However, when we do go to the
What are
playoffs,
the playoffs?
All right.
Alice.
Alex?
All right, let's go to 2018. I was at Oracle Park. I think the game was tied. It was a day we won or we got a postseason berth because us and the Rockies were like head to head. So it was like a tie game, I think. And Kershaw was up to bat, and he needed a single. He gave us the lead. And like normally, I'm not really loud. I'm not a loud fan. I just watch. I don't really get too crazy, but when I saw him hit that single, I kind of got up and like yelled, like going crazy. And then after that, I went a walk around the whole park before we won the game. And that's the only away stadium I've been to.
And did you like it at Oracle?
Yeah, I liked it. It was
Would
a
you
day
even
game.
would you even go as far to say that Oracle's a better stadium than Dodger Stadium?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right. Let's
You
go
tried.
to Kurganic. I know you've been to a lot of Mariners games. What's your favorite memory?
So I have one. I my record. I've been to a lot of Mariners games and I've been to Cardinals games. My favorite Cardinals memory is that when Harrison Bader, his first game, he had a walk-off, and that was pretty fun for a Cardinals game. That was really, like, we were playing the Reds, we were supposed to win that game. Still a really amazing memory. My favorite memory, however, is I was at a game where the Malik Smith steals every base, and that was the greatest game of all time. I watched that. I watched the John Boy thing, like, maybe 30 times. I watched it so many times because I had done like at least a little bit of stuff, and I knew as soon as the pickoff play was through, I knew immediately Malik was going. That was by far my favorite memory because my record as a Mariners fan going to games is 4-9, so haven't really won much, but that's my favorite.
I think your record watching the Mariners is on pace with the Mariners' record last few years. Well,
Hold up.
that about wraps it up. But one more thing I want to say is that the Rockies just took the lead over the Dodgers. Oof, sorry, Alex. Have to say I'm rooting against
Dang,
the
your
Dodgers.
score.
Don't blow it.
What's the score right now?
2-1
2-1.
Rockies.
Okay, just hit 4 divided by 23. I would like to say that the Mariners' win percentage has not been .173.
I don't know, dude. It kind of seems like
Four
it after
Well,
watching that.
I
Okay.
would like to
Also,
think we've
wait,
been
hold
a
on.
little bit better.
I also want to say the Cardinals beat the Cubs 7-3
I don't
a
think
few
anybody asked
moments
about
ago.
that. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap up. All right.
Yo, the Marlins do though.
Thank you for listening.
Hey.
This was our 4th podcast. We'll be back next week. It's good. It's gonna be fun here down the stretch. Thank you all, and goodbye.
See you guys later.